You wish, bro.
I would beat that ass, dude. I would.
You're a goofy.
Yeah. You goofy.
Oh, we live now?
Yeah.
Oh,
La-
shit.
Last week, I went to my parents after the gym on Sunday, and I just wanted to go cop some dinner real quick.
Yeah.
Made some pasta. Like I just showed up and pasta was already ready.
Nice.
Actually, so clutch. And then, my mom was like, "Here, take this box of chips. Here,
Yeah,
take this."
saw them
Yeah,
things,
they've been
bro.
bashing those motherfuckers. Take these mozzarella sticks.
Nice.
Take these chicken nuggets. Take these bananas.
Damn, they really just hooked you up.
Dude, that's
The
what I'm
whole grocery
saying,
trip?
though. Literally, my whole list. Because that's all I eat, is mozzarella sticks and chicken nuggets.
Absolutely. You got the air fryer life.
You need to get one. They're so magnificent.
I don't even know where to keep an air fryer.
In your cupboard.
I just gotta follow Devlin's advice, bro.
Dude,
Buy a house.
what's that dude on?
I don't know if it's not. I think he's just trying to look out for us. Like, I mean, he believes in
Right.
owning property and shit like that. And
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's a wise move to own property instead of just renting shit. He's just looking out.
He is.
But
Just funny
Yeah.
today in the group chat.
he's just goofy.
He is goofy, but I love him.
Mm.
Old Delvin ass. Who was that? You? No, that was Luke. Said we're all in an alternate universe,
Delvin.
all in a fucking trailer park.
Honestly, the worst one was Carter. K-A.
Oh yeah,
Carter.
Car. He for sure has a mullet in the parallel
Yeah.
universe.
For sure.
What was your name? Zach with a K.
Just with a K, bro.
Yeah, get corned.
Yeah. It just sound illiterate and stupid.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. Oh man. How's your writing gig going?
pretty good. I believe. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure I finally actually started doing it on next Tuesday. I finished all the training. Everything was completed.
There you go.
And then, this past Tuesday, I did a tutoring session with my mentor. And I looked at her work and did kind of like a mock session with her.
Mm.
So that was pretty cool. It was the real deal, but it was just with my mentor, so it was low stakes and everything,
Yeah.
But
There to catch you.
yeah, it was pretty.
Let me ask you a question.
Good.
How often do you shave?
I don't shave.
You don't shave?
I break out too much when I use a razor, so I just use a trimmer and cut it usually I keep it about the same length where it's I don't know. I mean, it's short, but it's not invisible, Because if I go too short, where I do the low setting on my trimmer, it just looks like I have blonde stubble.
Oh yeah.
The red and brown kind of goes away. But I do about a 3 is what it is. I do a 3 on the guard setting,
Yeah.
And I just trim it low all the time.
Damn. I wish I could grow hair on my face. I was about to say face on my hair. Dude, because every time I shave now, I got this new Harry Draver razor. Have you ever heard of that brand?
Harry's? Yeah.
Fucking sick brand.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But no, the last few times I've used it, I just cut my shit, dude.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
I don't know. I haven't actually literally I haven't shaved my face with a razor since probably the middle of season. No, that's a lie. Probably since 2018.
Wow.
Something like that. I just stopped using it. I was like, I can use my trimmer because if I do cut it super short and I want it to look clean, you can't see it, But it's there's enough here where I can trim it up and clean it up to where it looks nice. So
I think we need to do a segment where Zach shaves with a razor.
dude,
First time in 3 years.
you want me to look 12? Because that's how you're gonna make me look
Yeah.
12, bro. Oh my god, I look so gross.
Oh man, that's so tough, bro. You can give me a haircut on stream.
Okay.
Just kidding. You'd probably be so bad at haircuts.
Probably I just hit that number 0.
Just buzz my shit.
Yeah, you're in the Marines now, boy.
That's so unfair. I wrote John Wick down on my notes.
John Wick.
John Wick.
I've watched parts of the first one, but I've never watched all of the John Wick
Dude,
series.
they're good.
The John Wick trilogy.
Yeah. Have you seen the Always Be My Maybe movie on Netflix?
Always Be My Maybe?
Yeah. Well, Keanu Reeves is in it.
Yeah.
Dude, funnier than fuck.
Really?
Like, the movie's good. It's like a rom-com, but Keanu Reeves is in it. Dude, it's so fucking funny. In that movie, it's ridiculous.
Is he like the lead actor, or?
No, he's only in it for like 10, 15 minutes.
Is that the one where like they go on a date and then he walks up and the chick is freaking out? Okay, I've seen that. I've seen that clip before.
He does his Keanu walk where he goes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was on camera.
No,
He do the
it
Keanu
wasn't.
walk on camera.
But yeah, I've seen that clip on like Facebook or something.
Shit's funny as fuck.
No, that's not with Ozzy Ansari, is it?
No.
No. Okay.
Ansari does. What's that one show called on Netflix?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I watched the first season. It was pretty good. I don't like the second season.
Yeah, I forgot what that show's called.
I do like Ansari though.
What is this show called?
Alright. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up because now I really want to know.
I just remember the first episode. He has a hookup with that chick, and they have to go buy Plan B.
And they go get apple juice too. Yeah. Sorry, Netflix show. Master of None.
Yeah,
That's what it was
is.
called.
Yeah, I never watched much more than the first episode.
Yeah. I think they only have 2 seasons. Yeah, they for sure only have 2 seasons. Because this is a shit show, even though we just said it was good. Well, you didn't like it.
Yeah, I watched the first episode.
He said, fuck that. Alright. Shit, I don't even know what I was gonna say.
I don't know. Let's get this camera rolling, bro.
Yeah, should we? Or should I click the end stream again?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's over. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Yeah, later.
Just kidding, bro. Come on.
Whoa, we're here. We added a new whiteboard, or I added a new whiteboard to my
Yeah.
office.
Christian layer.
Yeah.
The lab. You know
The
what I mean?
lab. I like that.
Cooking it up in the lab.
We cooking, baby. Do you like my stickers?
Yeah. I saw those in the... Hey, what? Oh, anything's possible. I don't know what I was reading. I saw something synthetic. I was like, what?
What's going on, guys? Dude, what is all on my face?
I don't know, bro.
Oh shit, that's bad. Fuck it. Talking about men today.
You got the Austin Powers look, bro. We're talking about men. Damn.
Hey, can you toss me that candle, big boy?
That's kind of sus.
Yeah, you think so? Did you see that picture that Carter put in there of me?
Yeah, that's an old picture.
A very old
Your
picture.
face looks like a baby.
Yeah, and I only had shaving cream on my neck. 'Cause that's the only area where my
Neck
shit
beard.
grows. No, we're talking about men today. Obviously, Zach and I are men. Exactly. I just want to put this out here before. What are you smirking about?
I don't know, bro. I'm just waiting to hear what you got to say.
I just want to put out, like, in no way are we dogging women when we talk.
No,
today
actually, this
either.
is the only anti-women thing we're
Yeah.
going to be doing this year, so
Yeah.
buckle down.
What he said.
Just kidding. We're not anti-women. I have a mom, so we can't be anti-woman.
Yeah, how is that
obviously.
possible? Do you put the toilet seat down?
Oh, always.
Always? Good man.
Always.
That's respectful right
Well,
there.
why don't they start putting the toilet seat up?
That's right.
Is that a good
Dude.
transition to your topic?
If it is so easy to put it down, oh, it's so easy to put it down, just fucking put it down. Well, if it's so easy to put it down, fucking put it up.
Yeah.
Or put it down yourself.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's context, right? Like, I grew up, like, obviously I grew up with brothers, but, like, I also grew up with, like, all female cousins.
Yeah.
So it's, like, the majority rule, you know?
Right.
But then on the flip side, too, it's, like, if you're growing up with a bunch of young guys, like, I think it's just principle to, like, learn to respect that woman, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just by, for some reason, leaving the toilet seat down.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's just how it works.
I mean, the thing that pissed my mom off was that my brother would pee all over the toilet seat.
Yeah.
See, that's what's bad. That's when it gets really bad.
Yeah.
And, yeah, there's what? Yeah, there's 4 guys and were that I grew up with,
Mm.
and then my mom and my two sisters, even though we were majority, I mean, they didn't fucking care.
Yeah.
They said, put that shit down or else.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you sprinkle while you tinkle, bro. Be a sweetie and wipe the seedy.
I like that one better.
That's what we.
That's what you came up
That's
with?
what I was taught.
Oh, okay. No. So, there's so much there's so much pressure on men, in society. I just kind of wanted to talk about it just because,
What kind of pressure are you feeling, bro?
well, there's the pressure to, be or not. I mean, I guess not as much lately, but in the past, it's always been males have to go to work, bring home the bacon, the mom has to take care of the kids and shit like that.
Right, yeah, those gender roles.
Yeah, but I mean, those are still in play today with some people. I mean, obviously, there's more of a blossoming of.
I mean, I think
not
they're
as
in play
much.
everywhere. I think for every single person they're in play no matter what. It just depends on whether or not you perform them.
Right.
Right. I think that's
No,
when you say pressure, right? Like, we may not subscribe to some of those male gender roles, but we feel pressure from them because they still exist, right?
Right. No, they definitely do still exist.
Yeah.
But I just think it's kind of fucked.
Yeah, well, I think so. Diving into just the idea of pressure, right? I think when you talk about guys facing a lot of pressure, it comes from there's this really weird paradox that we're kind of balancing in right now where we're still expected to behave and fulfill traditional male roles, right? To be breadwinners, protectors, to kind of run shit, be, kind of directive and, kind of authoritarian in a way,
Right.
We're supposed to be that man, right? The traditional man, and we see that depicted still in so many movies and media, etc. But then you're also facing this almost anti-pressure of that, where it's this move against that, where it's like you bring a male toxic masculinity, and that's attacked, right? So men who do exist that way or do try to fulfill the roles in that sense are kind of criticized for being misogynistic or for being egotistical or etc. So there's a lot of women looking for men, or they claim they want to see a man who is strong and kind of that breadwinning sort of figure.
Wear the pants.
Yeah, but then they don't want that figure to control them, right? So it's this weird balance
I get what you're saying.
that is trying to be found between being a traditional male while also navigating the expectations and criticisms of the modern world. Because there are men and women who are making criticisms to that traditional male image, saying, well, we shouldn't have to be that, which I agree, you shouldn't have to be that. But then there's an issue that comes into play where now men who are fulfilling those roles, there's nothing inherently bad about that, but then they're being criticized for it as being
Definitely
a negative image of man, right?
Right. No, and that falls into the whole line of women are out here searching for men like that, who wear the pants, but then when they end up wearing the pants or they do something wrong, it's the end of the fucking world. I don't know if that really makes sense. But
Kinda.
that just goes. I want to talk about the feminist movement against all the males, saying all males are bad and shit.
Yeah, also extreme feminism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All men are fucking trash, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Who fucking hurt you, dude? Right?
Right.
Who hurt you that much where all men are trash? And that's just if everything's flipping like that, and the women start to rise up, why are you treating us like how we are treating you?
Yeah, well,
you get that switch that I'm saying?
The common argument, right, is it's supposed to be about, equity, not is it equity versus equality, right? Or is it the other way around? So
I couldn't tell you. I'm not as well.
The example being right that yes, you claim. Right, it's there's this attempt or this kind of motion to flip the roles to where men shouldn't be in power, women should be in power, right? And then the negative sort of consequence being that men are being placed into a subordinate position, right?
Right.
As if they are a lower class, right? Because that's traditionally what it was, right? Men were a higher class than women, right? That's how it's been, and that's where
standard.
that's where this feminism stems from. Is it's not about classes. Men and women are equal class, right? You're not inherently a better or higher privileged citizen than another, right? Just because of your race or your gender
yeah.
race as well, but gender in this case. But then if you flip that, right, then it's just it's hypocritical and it's not. There's no progress there, right? So.
Right.
It's instead what you should be striving for is men and women on an equal playing field, not women usurping men, right? But on the other hand, you also have men who take it and say, okay, you're just attacking me and you're just being petty about it. So like this is why women should be, subordinate or some bullshit, right? So it's really a matter of people just being sensible and not being a bunch of dickheads.
Yeah.
But that's just not going to happen, really. There's not civility just doesn't really occur.
Well, right. I mean,
especially in online debate and stuff like that.
Well, one has to be better than the other. That's societal standard, right?
I mean, yes and no.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying though. But they're not fighting to be on an equal playing field. They're fighting to be better and above men. Right. Both genders definitely. But if they push the movement for being equal, which I'm sure it is, I don't know much about the feminist movement, so I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if they pushed it for equal grounds, I think it'd be a lot better. What did my boy Nelson say?
You just said sorry for missing the past few streams.
Hey man, we're just glad you're here now, man.
No worries.
Yeah, we're just glad you're here now. We're talking about some men. But no, the whole wage gap thing too.
Yeah.
Apparently, a woman makes 80% less. No,
it's not that much. But
it's 20% less. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a figure, if a guy's making 100K, a woman is making 80K in the same position.
But yeah,
that's the key. That's the key aspect.
But it's more women. 60% of bachelor holders are women.
Mm-hmm.
So they're starting to find that groove of being paid more. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
they're on their way to making more. But in the sense of also,
I think the problem there though is that these women have to get a bachelor's degree to be paid as much as a guy without a bachelor's degree, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about jobs and shit too, we were talking about how where's it at? Men make up 93% of workplace deaths. You know that?
Right, but I think that's
they're working more of the dangerous jobs though.
Well, yeah.
Fishermen,
more men
underwater.
are working as laborers and outdoor sort of forestry and
what have you.
Yeah.
But who else is gonna do it? I mean, all praise all the women that do that kind of jobs and shit. But I mean, if you're dogging on men that much, then just go do the job yourself.
Yeah, well, so I think there definitely shouldn't be an argument about whether or not men and women are naturally born with certain advantages, right? Yes, men are naturally born more physically capable than women on average.
Yeah. Now
you look at people like Amy Picorni, who could outlift me, outwork me any day of the week.
Yep.
Right, there are exceptions to that rule. But naturally, I think of course, you make the argument men are just naturally kind of built to be better suited for those laboring positions, right? Now, in a modern equal society, right, nobody should be able to say, no, you as a woman can't go do that job. But at the same time, you have to understand that, you as an individual have limitations physically, right? And you can't be upset if you're not being able to perform at the same level, right? Now, that said, right, on the flip side of that is that sort of obstacle or barrier doesn't exist for men, because a man can go and do labor, perform well, be paid well because he's working hard, and his work is just going to be more productive because he can physically manage it. Right? But a woman goes into a field like that, she's on average not going to be as productive physically as the men. Now, maybe if you take into account, the different machines and machine operations that people can do, that takes things a little differently, right? We're not going out and hand digging everything, you know what I mean? We're running diggers and shit like that women could certainly be qualified to operate, and then there shouldn't be any question.
Right.
However, a man goes into a female majority occupation like teaching. Teaching is like 90% women,
Yeah.
right? For example, I'm like that's a pretty close number.
Mm-hmm.
Or nursing, right, is a majority female occupation. Now again, that separation of genders into specific categories of jobs has to do with gender roles specifically, right? Because that shows that women at certain stage of their lives are being kind of conditioned to be more likely to take on these support / caretaking kind of roles, whereas men are being conditioned to take on these productive sort of, you know, creative worker kind of roles, etc. Right? That includes military, that includes leadership, right? However, a man goes into a female majority occupation, he's not going to face that kind of resistance. As a matter of fact, most men who go into female majority occupations have a greater chance of rising to leadership positions than females do.
Yeah.
So like my brother, or like I bring up my brother because I've kind of been pressuring him to take on nursing. Or even look at Cameron, for example, right? Cameron is a teacher in a female majority dominated occupation, and he's probably just going to have a higher chance of reaching status of dean, principal, any other administrator, superintendent, etc., before any of his female counterparts. Even though he's a first-year teacher, he could probably outpace some of the teachers there who have 2, 3, 4+ years.
Yeah.
Right. That reality exists. So that itself is an issue, right? That's an institutional issue, right? That's just an issue based on the way we view the capabilities of genders in certain positions, right?
Right.
And so, like, in a way, yes, this battle against, you know, men being the dominant gender in society is justified,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because what real reason is there that a more qualified woman should be less recognized than a less qualified man? You know?
Right.
So it's justified in those senses, but then the issue comes now if you're being, you know, negative and combative and destructive in your criticism and whatnot of the male sort of construct that we have, you know what I mean? So
No, I think you bring up very, very valid points, and I like that. The whole like admin thing, which is absolutely bonkers to me, because like we had one woman dean at East, right?
yeah,
Yeah, we had one, and then like
I think so.
there was another dean that was male. Our principal was male. Our activities director was male.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, but like you said, it's a female dominated.
All the superintendents are men, and then the positions that support the superintendent are female.
Right.
Right.
See, that's what I don't like. Especially like you definitely need some diversity on, I guess, like if we're talking about teaching the board, because like women brain and men brains are not built the same.
You're right. I mean,
women are definitely more like loving, nurturing than men, and men like to think logically. Half the time it's not very logical, I guess.
Yeah.
But I would definitely like to see some more women on like admin roles. Kamala Harris. She's fucking vice president, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it took us what? Biden's our 46th or 47th.
46th, I believe.
I think so too. Somebody in chat help us out. Not crazy. I took 40. You said 46.
Something like that.
45 or 46 presidents for a female vice president.
Yeah.
To even be in office, which I think will be a great thing. You know, that it's a different point of view to look at. Like we say all the time, like if you take other people's opinions or outlooks on anything, like it definitely change the world. Which I think that is fucking huge, and I love to see it. But like I said, women are just very like. I feel like they care more for the students than people in administrator roles are more caring about like money and shit. You know.
Yeah, in a way, I guess it's really difficult to make those kind of generalizations, though, because, like, that's where the issue of gender roles comes into play when we say things like women are just naturally more caring and men are just naturally more logical or directive, right? And that's where gender roles stem from, where we put people into classifications without taking into account their individual skills, right?
You're definitely right.
So, like, I wouldn't say generally that men are less caring than women, right? Because I think right? I think that's where that becomes a negative stereotype or gender role of men when it comes like you wanted to bring up case battles with for children, right? Then that stereotype that women are more caring than men contributes to the fact that men are less likely to get, um, custody of their children.
Right.
Because people have this idea in their head that men are just less parental, caring, supportive in that sense. They're not nurturing like a mother is, right?
Right.
When that's really not true, right? In most cases, there's certainly men who aren't, and there's certainly women who aren't. You know what I mean?
I think it also stems from the fact, though, like, if you look at everybody, like, in the court system, justice system, anybody in an administrative role, they're all older than fuck, older than dirt, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's another issue, too.
I think, it's a whole other issue of biases and, like, very, to the T, like, roots kind of shit, you know? Like, makes me mad. I hate old people. I take that back. I don't hate old people.
Damn.
I hate old people that are stuck in their ways.
Yeah, I agree. I think that generational differences definitely account for some of these kind of resistance that we see in government, right, against more modern and progressive social movement, right? That's why with things like, look at recreational marijuana, pro-life movement stuff, as far as legalizing abortion or at least, allowing for the practice and stuff like that. And it has to do with generational stuff, right? Because a lot of older generations, that stuff is super taboo, right? So when those people are in power, right, it's something they're going to have a hard time sort of coping with and like getting behind, Now, on the other hand, too, that also has to do with donor money and it has to do with pressure from outside influences and shit like that, that they are pro or against certain, political moves or whatever. But
definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard, like especially when you have a progressive mind. It's hard to really come up with any legitimate reason why men should be favored over women in any particular spot, right? Or women over men in any particular spot, really, and that's why it should be about, and that's what real feminism, like true grassroots feminism, isn't about women being better than men. It's about men and women on equal playing ground, right? That's what real feminism is about. When we come to extremist feminism, that's where people who are broken and hurt and angry are coming out and making crazy, claims and whatnot,
that's what I kind of wanted to talk about too, was like the false allegations too against men.
False allegations.
That's a whole nother thing.
Really,
man.
really tricky.
Right. So that's why I wrote down John Wick, is because Keanu Reeves, whenever he takes a picture of somebody, he never puts his fucking hand on their back.
Well, yeah. When I was still considering being a high school teacher, and I still think about this as I want to go into teaching at the college level. I do not ever want to find myself alone in a classroom or anything with a female student, because even that moment, right? You could be alone with that student with the purest of intentions. Say, "Oh, hey, what did you need?" Your door could be open. They could have come in, right, and said, "Hey, can I ask for some help?" Right, whatever. But there's nothing that you can do that student walks away and says, "So and so touched me. So and so made a move. So and so did whatever or made this offer." It is this child in that case, right, or B, a young female's words against an authoritative man's word.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Too, yeah.
So it's like, I don't want to deal with that mess, because there are plenty of examples of teachers and men in positions of authority who have dealt with that, right, where it's they didn't do anything wrong, but there are women, unfortunately, who take advantage of those. Essentially, the benefit of the doubt that they're given.
How easy it is, yeah.
And that's real. That's an unfortunate reality. Just like women have to feel nervous and anxious walking in the street by themselves alone at night or something, right? Is just as equal an unfortunate reality that men have to be conscious and afraid of being caught alone with a woman.
Right.
Right? Because it's in the same way, a woman could be attacked, right? That's a real fear that they deal with, and it's a genuine fear that we deal with that.
Exactly.
Or even I mean, at work, right? If I'm working, we work pretty close quarters. If I brush a coworker, I mean, I am immediately like, oh, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to even like brush your arm or something, right? Because anything can be perceived as a weird.
They go to HR.
Yeah, I mean, it could be perceived as some sort of harassment or molestation or something like that, you know? And that's an unfortunate reality, you know? You have to be hyper conscious of the way your actions make you look to, you know, women, essentially, you know?
It's, I mean, we talked about it last week, 2 weeks ago? The episode we did about how to not give a fuck or whatever, the whole victimhood thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody loves playing the victim, and that just falls in the lap of the whole kind of general idea.
Yeah, well, and especially, right, like, you had Brett Kavanaugh, right, he was the senator, I believe? Congressman. No, he was a senator. Or was he Supreme Court? I forget. No, he was senator. I want to say senator. I'm going to say senator, but probably wrong. Actually, I think he's Supreme Court. Anyways, he was in that huge allegation battle between him and his old, like, college, like, not accomplice, acquaintance or whatever that he graduated with. And when that happened, you know, and then you had, he had, you know, sexual allegations, and then, I mean, there's been plenty of famous men who have faced a lot of allegations, right? And some of them have been true, right? And it's unfortunate, right? You have Kevin Spacey, right? Super successful, powerful man who was found guilty with proof of him having sexual encounters with young men, right? You know, things like that are real and it happens and it's unfortunate and it's good when those things are brought to light. But to me, it's the same kind of issue when you, this is a made up word, but you celebritize like murderers, right?
Yeah.
When you put out crazy Netflix documentaries and you cover murdering sprees in detail on the news where hundreds of people are going to see it, you're giving people essentially ideas, right? And inspiration in a really fucked up way.
Yeah, like copycat shit.
Right? And so that same principle applies in my mind to sexual allegations. You get people who are like, okay, I see A, right? Like some people attribute shootings at schools and stuff to students seeing that and wanting attention, right? That's something that people think is kind of a psychological thing. Yeah. Same thing, right? There are women who see these allegations and like, oh, well, I want to get in on that, or I want to win money, or I want to just get attention, right? It's really shitty. That's why it's so tricky, especially as a man, to talk about these sexual allegations, because to say that a woman is doing this for attention sounds misogynistic and like you're being, like I'm ignoring this person's pleas for help, right? And that's where it gets really tricky, because you have a woman or a child. Well, children, I think children in general, yes, there are the rare few children who are clever enough to say, I'm going to make this sexual allegation and probably get away with it.
Yeah.
Right? But for the most part, if a child comes to you and says, so-and-so was touching me or I've been in trouble, right, it's probably real, right? Because most children hopefully aren't making that up.
Yeah, usually if you ask for advice from a kid, they're going to tell you it's straight, you know?
Right, but in the case of like grown women and stuff like that, you have their word, a potential victim's word, against a potential abuser's word. You're just inclined naturally to want to believe the abused, right?
Right.
And that's just an unfortunate bias that everybody has, man and woman, for victims, right? But it's the problem where that allegation immediately ruins that man or woman's
life.
Life. However, you wanted to bring up too, like at Johnny Depp, right? He has legitimate proof and a sound argument against what's her face.
Don't know her name, but she plays the wife in Aquaman.
Yeah, I forget what her freaking name is. He's got a legit case against her, and he's still facing backlash from false accusations of him being an abuser, right? So this woman, without proof, accused him of being an abuser, and he has proof that he wasn't abusing. He was actually being abused. He's actually facing that criticism of being an alleged abuser, and then also being called a liar, right? So he's not even being taken seriously for claiming the fact that he's actually being abused, right?
And then he's also getting spoke out about like being like a bitch for getting abused by a woman. But like we are literally bred as men. Glorify is another good way to put it. You're exactly right. We're literally bred as men to like never hit a woman, right? Like even if they like.
Well, we're told that way, right?
Exactly. Like women can like just kick, scratch, beat the fuck out of us, but we're not allowed to hit women, right?
Yeah, well, it's like the common meme, right? Is like equal rights, equal fights.
Yeah,
Right?
I haven't heard that, but it's
It's
good.
super fucked up.
But no, like they're.
But yeah, and it's a
yeah.
matter of like, again, it comes back to a matter of physical strength, right? It's seen as like it's understandable if a woman hits a guy a couple times because it's assumed that this woman isn't gonna hurt this guy very much. But the minute he lays out one good punch and it hurts her, bro, like it's seen as like, okay, dude, you went too far. You didn't have to do that. What the hell's wrong with you, right? Even though she was beating the shit out of you, right? So it's like it is a matter of like capability, right? I mean, equate that to like you fighting your younger brother. Like your brother's being an asshole and really hitting you, and you hit him once and he's down crying.
He's fucking
right?
crying.
And now you're in trouble for hurting your brother, right?
Amber something.
Yeah.
No,
Amber Heard or something like that.
Amber Heard.
But yeah, it's like it's really complex because again that can idea comes back to gender roles, right? Men are seen as powerful and strong, and women as weak and needy, you know. And so when a man,
I thought you said meaty.
No, needy is seen as like hurting a woman either in self defense or not, right? It's regardless, it's seen as him taking it too far.
Yeah. I want to go back to the allegations and shit because there was this one story I read. It was a black man who was about to go like D1 for football, and then this rape allegation came out.
I forgot. I think I heard that.
And then it was a pretty big one. And then like 12 years later, oh shit, my dad's calling me. 12 years later, she spoke out and said it wasn't true. Like, this dude's career went in the fucking dirt, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, this dude spent like 12 years in prison, and she just, la-di-da-di-da. I was faking.
Yeah.
Like, that shit's fucked, man. Like, I couldn't imagine something like that happening to me. Like, it's fucked, man.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
it's really tough.
Keep your hands. Yeah, man. It's that simple, Nelson. You're exactly right.
Yeah, don't touch me.
Sorry, sir.
Got it on camera, right?
Yeah, we got the flowers were hiding it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really difficult because in that case, like how do you make amends, right? How do you properly what do you do for that person, right? To make things right,
you can't.
Essentially. Right? You wasted 12 years of time. So like on the flip side too though, how it's really tricky to follow the argument of like, this man should be in prison because he raped me 20 years ago. Right? That's really, really tough too, right? Like, because on the one hand, you want to listen to a victim and believe it, but then at the same time, that one is even harder to follow because you can't really have proof. You have word of mouth, and you have people's, if possible, you might have a witness, right? But at that point, you're dealing with issues of bad memory, right, and etc. Right, so like
20 years too. Yeah.
And it's if in that case, right, it's unfortunate if you were living with that burden and that trauma for 20 years and you went unspoken because a lot of times, right, you are afraid, right, you're still moving through those emotions and trying to unblock that trauma and work through it, and you don't feel courageous enough to come out about it, right? That's a real thing. But the other side too is it's like that's so hard to prove, and it lacks even more credibility because then it's perceived more often as you trying to destroy somebody, right? Because you can't really provide proof.
Yeah.
Right? So it's so trouble.
It's a
really
double-edged sword kind of thing, Yeah. How do you feel about like this dude says serious repercussions for such actions? How do you feel about that? Like,
yeah, I agree. If you're found to have legitimately lied about somebody raping you, right? Absolutely, you should face jail time.
Right.
I think so. Right.
Totally
At least,
agree.
In a just world, that you as the the liar would face the exact punishment that man faced. Right. He was in prison for 12 years. You should go to prison for 12 years of your life. Right.
I agree.
That you made that man lose that time. Right. Ideally, right. And that just leads to the question, like, why does somebody want to do that,
Like you said, the attention, fame, money.
It's that criminal profiling, like, what leads people to make these decisions and why,
When Donald Trump got elected in 2016, like, rape allegations were coming out of woodwork like it was fucking everything in a bag of chips, dude.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, do you know what happened with that? Or, like, he obviously didn't get found guilty, did he? Because he wouldn't be
No, I
president.
mean, well, his first impeachment, I think, was based on some of that sexual allegation. But, I mean, Donald Trump is a difficult one because he legitimately is. I mean, there's video proof of him verbally talking about, like,
Yeah,
at least harassing women, right? So, like, he's a pretty shitty example. Like,
right.
he's
See, that's
not,
what's so
he's
tough
not a
about it,
woman
too.
respecter.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, but for example, right? If you had a bunch of people come out about Barack Obama, right? That'd be a really hard pill to swallow because there's a lot of respect for that man, right? He's got a lot of contributions and achievements and stuff behind his belt that make him really credible and you know, like I said, well respected. You know, so then at that point, there's gonna be a lot of people asking, you know, okay, what is the real deal here, right?
See, yeah,
You know?
that double-edged sword.
And the problem with Donald Trump's case is, right, that there's obvious political intent behind it, right? If I can block this man from becoming president, right, then the alternative might be better. And that's the unfortunate thing too, is using those kinds of advantages for political gain is just dirty and nasty in general.
Right. While we're on the Barack Obama train, do you think he was born in the States or no?
I don't care.
I kind of wish he wasn't.
Really?
Like, they got away with it type shit, you know?
Yeah, well...
If he was actually born in Guam and he had 2 terms of presidency
Yeah, well,
and he got away with it.
Guam is it used to be a territory of the United States.
But technically it's not the United States, so he wouldn't have been able to...
Yeah,
run,
I
would
mean, well, if he was born on a base, though.
True. Then there's like that picture of him smoking weed.
Yeah. See, but those are non-issues, though, to me, right? If you, like, okay, yes, I agree, you have to be American to run for president, but, like, what makes me, as a person born on American soil, any more American than somebody, say, a Mexican immigrant who has gone and run for Senate and contributed X amount to his communities and essentially lived as an American according to American values and democracy? Like, what makes me any more American than this person who's lived more like an American? Really.
Well, like,
right?
To become an American, the test is hard as fuck, dude. And people
Right.
pass that shit. Like, obviously, like, we learned that when we go through school, but, like, have you ever seen those videos where those people go out and, like, ask people, like, questions from the test and they don't even fucking know them?
Not yet.
Like, people in the Senate don't even fucking know them. And they're sitting here in the Senate making all of our fucking decisions, baby.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't, like, to me, when it comes to, like, presidency or, like, serving the country, right, you don't have to be, like, there are people who are born Americans who, just because you're born American doesn't mean you should be qualified to go and run for president, right? Like Donald Trump, for example, really wasn't qualified to run for president.
No. But I think
I would rather take Jose, who has incredible credentials behind his name, but he happens to be from the Dominican Republic.
And he came
be
here
my
when he was a
president.
baby. He just wasn't born on U.S. soil.
Yeah, I'd rather have him be my president if he's going to make more professional decisions and represent our country like America is represented.
It's so funny too. But I mean, it just proves the point that anybody can be president. Like, it doesn't. You don't have to be in politics to be president.
Yeah, well, yeah. Which, I mean, yeah, I think that there should be more people from different fields and walks of life who run for president, right? Doctors, you know, scientists.
Dude, that would be sick. I fucking hate politics.
For the most part, politicians are lawyers, right? They're people who went to law school and became president or whatever, you know?
We're actually going to be talking about politics here in a couple weeks, so check the schedule. But back on the whole men thing, we went off on a little presidential tangent there.
Yeah, but I guess we can tie it back in because, like, we talked about how amazing it is, like, that Kamala Harris is our vice president. But, like, arguably, that is a more amazing accomplishment than it's a more be president, bro. Run it.
Yeah, let me go sign up real quick.
Yeah.
Continue. I'm sorry.
Like, arguably, it's more astonishing that it took this long for a female to become president than it took for Barack Obama to become president. Like, it was amazing when Barack Obama became president, the first African American, first minority president, right? But for it to take longer for us to have a female vice president than for us to have a black president, right, is incredible because as far as, like, looking at history goes, right? Like, I mean, historically, African Americans pretty oppressed in our country, right? Slavery, post Civil War issues with voting rights, and obviously
Jim Crow laws.
yeah,
shit
and
like
the
that,
obviously
yeah.
of like the '60s and shit like that. But you also have women fighting for voting rights, like suffragettes and etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's incredible to me that it's taken so long for women, a larger demographic than African Americans, right, to become some sort of position in government, right?
Yeah.
Than it took for an African American to become president, right? She's not even president; she's vice president. She's still a support role as a woman, right? She's not even a head honcho; she's a support role, right?
Which, I mean, Joe Biden will become not fit for president. She'll become president.
Yeah.
She'll be the first president, female president. But
right. But I think, like, you get what I'm trying to say there.
No, I
like,
definitely get what you're saying.
You would think that a woman, based on our historical sort of like path, right? Based on the way things have gone, you'd think that it would have been a woman becoming some sort of president or vice president before an African American would have become a president or vice president, right?
Definitely.
So it's crazy it took this long, right?
To even get a woman in vice presidency.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to talk about porn.
Yeah.
Like when we were talking before the show, I was a little shy to talk about porn last time.
Yeah.
But what's up?
I was just trying to find my drink.
Oh, it was right in front of you.
Yeah, I thought I put it over here because sometimes I do, but.
I put the blinds back up.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, the light be shining crazy midday. I can't handle it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But no, like so many men are addicted to porn nowadays. Why do you think that is?
I mean, I could go a couple different directions, right?
Well, let's talk about them.
First one that comes to mind has to do with like control, right?
Okay.
So traditionally, right, men have been trained and pushed to take on roles that put them in a position of control, right? Authority, right? Same reason why men are typically more addicted to video games than women, right? Because there's this craving for control in our lives, right? This desire to want to fulfill that role of authority, of
position of power.
Power, yep. I think porn kind of falls under that, right? Where this need to kind of control, the level of what the hell is the word? Oh my god, it just left my mind. Pleasure and shit like that you have in your life, right? I think that's part of it, right? The other part of it, I think just has to do with easy access to pleasure,
very
right?
Easy, yeah.
Especially, I guess I don't really know. I mean,
no,
it's kind of hard to pinpoint, but yeah. I think some of it has to do with like control, some of it has to do with self-esteem, some of it has to do with just the way how easy it is,
their
right?
sex life.
Yeah, and I think also has to do with kind of like young men's biology, right? Because as a young man, most men are exposed to porn when they're like 12, 13 really young. You're still developing, and then like huge hits of dopamine from watching pornography and obviously orgasming.
You got that post-nut clarity though.
Yeah. But you kind of create this really negative feedback cycle, right? Where like as a young man, you're exposed to this really high octane dopamine hit that's easy to get to, and you get addicted to it because you just keep hitting it. You keep hitting it, and it's easier to do that than to try and, find a partner and get off with a partner, right? Which also, like I said, it leads to self-esteem issues, because
becomes addicting.
Now you're addicted, and you have this thing kind of controlling.
Like you said, easy access, which you could literally just pull it up on your phone. And just start and go and finish, right?
I mean, yeah, for sure.
It's super easy, and then like you said, it comes like the whole social trap. Like, oh, if I did this yesterday, I could do it again today. Mm-hmm. I'll do it again tomorrow because it's so easy. Mm-hmm. And then, I'll stop for a day. You stop for a day. You keep going and going and going until because, I mean, if you're just beating your meat every day, like yourself, and like you can't find that partner because porn is so easily accessible.
Yeah.
Like you're obviously gonna fall into a trap of, oh, I can just do this myself. I'm gonna become like, I don't even know what to say. Like you become like depressed, dude. Like there's men who become depressed off porn. I've been seeing a lot of people actually speaking out about it more.
Mm-hmm.
How they stopped watching it, and it's actually kind of a big deal now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a
like,
movement, sort of.
Yeah, it really is. In the sense of, you know, these young men become depressed of, it's either, you know, they do it because they're young and they're just ready to go all the time. They like the dopamine hit once they finish, or like their girlfriend isn't giving them enough, or they just need to do that instead. Like it becomes like definitely its whole level of addiction at that point.
Yeah, well, and at a young age too. I mentioned control because you're young, right? So you're trying to find your way in the world, right? And you face a lot of obstacles and you know, trials and tribulations, etc. And so as a young man, young adult, you naturally find that like, well, I'm having a hard time, you know, engaging in this or feeling accomplished or making progress, right? Or whatever goal you might be having or work you're trying to do, etc. You find that you're running into a barrier with this work. You get discouraged, and then naturally you're like, well, I'll just go beat off, right? You get that hit, right? Your body naturally starts to think, well, I'm at a low because I'm discouraged. I need dopamine so I can perk back up, and then you're like, immediately your brain is like, I need porn.
Yeah.
Because it sees like that immediate dopamine hit is connected to pornography, right? Which leads to people becoming like, you know, chronic procrastinators and, you know, low achieving individuals, because instead of letting that breakthrough, right, that hard work and then the like long-term gratification, right? Letting that be your source of like dopamine, you're getting really short-term immediate gratification from just jerking off.
Yeah, it's a roller
and accepting
coaster.
like, oh, well, I'm not gonna make it any further, right?
Yeah.
So you fail to push beyond your limits because you're just letting these easier methods kind of be your sustaining source of pleasure, etc.
Well, it's literally a roller coaster. Like you're watching it, you're on the come up, you get the dopamine hit at the very top, and then, like I said, the post no clarity after is just shoot you down. It's such a constant cycle of it's the fucking tornado Adventureland, where it literally just goes up and down.
Yeah.
But I think it's getting worse too with younger kids, with like OnlyFans coming out and shit like that. They can interact with like these female actresses, you know, because I mean, it is definitely a profession. Like, it's not like these women are like getting these kids addicted to porn.
No, yeah. Well, I think, yeah. So sorry, keep going on.
Oh, you're good. No, I think it definitely is getting worse though. Like I said, they can interact with like the OnlyFans. They can send private Instagram DMs, and then like Pornhub literally during quarantine made Pornhub Premium free for like 2 months or some shit. Like, it's definitely just getting put into these young men's faces of, hey, watch me, get your dopamine hit, and then hit the road, Jack. Come back, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, well, and part of it too is like, yes, porn and sexual content is just going to always become more available because sex sells.
Yeah.
Right, sex just sells. And to me, the consequence, or like the action that's called for, is parents need to be a little more conscious of what their kids are doing on the internet, right? Like, you cannot control what kids do on the internet, and kids are always going to find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. But be conscious of what your kids are looking at, right?
Right.
But then on the other hand, is we as a society and as a country need to come to terms with the fact that sexual education is more important than pretending that sexual needs and stuff like that and sexual content isn't there.
Right. Dude.
It's and that comes into like the positives that pornography brings for like women, because pornography first of all acknowledges that women have sexual needs, right? There's also negatives where, like, you know, sometimes there's pornography that's created that women are objectified, right? They're depicted as the object of the scene as opposed to a contributor to a scene. But for the most part, right, you could argue that pornography brings this positive aspect that women are recognized as having needs, as being sexual creatures, and being allowed to express that, right? Which is a really powerful, positive, forward progression, right?
Definitely.
Socially. But with that, right, comes the need that we as a society need to get over that taboo of like women don't talk about, masturbation or whatever, but also like stop teaching like abstinence and teaching instead how to have sex and engage in sex appropriately, but then teaching kids like what is responsible and irresponsible use of pornography, right?
Right.
Because people are going to use porn. Adults use porn. So why make the claim that you shouldn't use porn if you use porn yourself?
Well,
right?
that's the thing.
So teach your kids and teach people in general how to be responsible, like sexually responsible. You know what I mean?
Right, dude. Like
This is what it is.
it's okay to have sex. Like we need to stop teaching kids like sex is bad. You shouldn't have it. Be celibate. Well, that's just the whole Christianity thing too. As well.
Yeah,
Because
that's traditionalism and shit like that too.
Right. But it's okay to have sex. Just do it safely. I definitely liked where you're going though. That women, they don't really express themselves sexually, and I think that they should.
Yeah.
Because humans are very, very sexual creatures, like you said, and I think it's a very good point to make. So thank you, Zach.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, because we're talking kind of about from men. On the flip side, like a huge majority of the kind of the opponents, right? The opposition to pornography are men. Men who think that like women shouldn't be depicted that way, right? Women shouldn't, women should respect their bodies and not treat themselves that way, right? This men trying to control women's sexuality, right? Which again is part of what that power and destabilizing those power relationships kind of comes for with feminism. And so yeah, like pornography is weird, but then again, yeah, you have that issue where there are people who can't be responsible with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then also, there's issues with again women becoming used and abused in the pornography industry and stuff like that. But I don't know,
It's fucked, dude.
Yeah.
Pornography, the pornography industry is indeed physically fucked up. But I mean, we're talking about how young men and men are using that porn to get that dopamine hit. And then what I really want to talk about is men's mental health, because obviously that kind of plays in. It's not acceptable apparently for men to have talk about their emotions or talk about them being mentally unstable and shit like that, because society is not there for them.
Yeah,
They're really not.
I mean, it has to do with men being expected to be the rock, the foundation, right?
The leader,
the
yeah.
stable kind of element or whatever.
Which is definitely fucked, man. Because I mean, it's definitely more socially acceptable. I mean, women talk about going to therapy all the time, which is apparently socially acceptable. But like you said, Johnny Depp spoke out about him being abused. If a guy spoke out about mental health, all the women would for sure be like, "Oh, that's great for you going to see a therapist," but like all the men would be like, "Oh, this dude's an idiot for going to see a therapist. What's wrong with that dude?" Like we all have issues.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it goes on both sides, right? Like for the most part, yes, I think there's more support for women seeking mental health and therapy and psychologists and etc., right, trying to find healing, etc., right. And for the most part, yeah, it's less supported for men to seek the same thing, right. And part of that has to do with toxic masculinity, because there are men who give shit to other men for being weak, right? When there there needs to be obviously that conversation and that acceptance that all men are not the same man, right? There are some men who, I'll fix your car, mow the grass, fix the toilet, be the man, whatever. But then there are men who are like, I'll cook and I'll keep the house tidy and I'll take care of you.
which is totally
Right?
okay.
There's different kinds of man, right? And then there's blends of that, 100 different ways, right? So it has to do with toxic masculinity. This pressure from other men, typically insecure men, who are trying to make other men feel bad for being something other than what the mold is, right? But in terms of mental health and stuff like that, it's weird that men aren't necessarily allowed to find, treatment and stuff like that. And
Right.
oftentimes there's the quality of treatment varies, right? The quality of treatment from the same psychologist is probably likely to be better for the female patient than it is for any of the male patients that he or she might have, right? Like,
Okay.
I assume.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying I'm not saying that widely about all psychologists or something like that, but
Yeah.
if the trend of men and women being differently encouraged to seek help, the help is probably different accordingly, right?
It's okay to go get help, guys.
Yeah.
Definitely is. Go see a therapist. You fucking idiots.
Yeah.
You're not an idiot. Just go see somebody.
Yeah, and then it really just stems from that expectation from men and women as far as like gender roles go, that men have to be strong, kind of.
The leader.
Yeah, they got to be kind of a stonewall, right? They got to be stalwart, where they come out and say I've been abused, or I'm depressed, or
people don't believe them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, you don't complain about it, or don't be a bitch, or whatever, right? Yeah, it's just, I think mostly we as a society are kind of moving past that. I think so.
No, for sure. We're definitely on the right track, for sure.
And especially as far as like a men to men thing, I think most men are becoming like, bro, it's okay, go find help. Most men are encouraging other men to be open and accepting of those sort of mental mental health issues and traumas and whatnot, right?
Definitely.
This allowance for men to not be a rock wall all the time. What I mean?
Yeah, it's okay to be, show your emotions, definitely.
Yeah. Well, like, and I think too, like with our friend group, right? Like, we don't sit around like, oh, obviously we call each other a bitch and a pussy or whatever, just fuck with each other. But like, when any of us are dealing with anything serious, you know what I mean? Like,
we're always there.
Yeah, you're there just to talk about it and be like real and helpful and caring about it. And I think that's how most men these days are.
Well, I think you need to have a good support group. If you surround yourself with the right people, then definitely. But if your friends aren't doing that for you, you need to find a new group of friends. I'll just tell you that right now. But no, we're all definitely very supportive of each other.
Yeah, I think so.
Even though we do dog on Delvin and Carter.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's okay to go get help, guys. Definitely. And then I don't know, man. You know what I hate?
What's that?
You know what I hate that guys have to always make the first move.
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't make the first move.
You didn't?
And Katie will openly, 100% every time give me shit about it.
Well, that's come on, Katie. Well, I didn't know that was thorough. I mean, because you guys were good friends for a fucking while, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's true though. Like, guys always gonna make the first move.
It's expected.
It's
right?
expected of men to make the first move. Ladies.
See, but I think
it's okay.
It becomes really tricky because you're expected to make the first move unless you are deemed unattractive. Because if you're unattractive and you make the first move, or if you're not attractive in the eyes of the specific beholder, you're just deemed a creep.
Right.
You make a move, or you say, "Hey, you're cute. Can we go out sometime?" Or you're like, you approach them at a bar or something, right? I've never done that because I've never been in the dating game, but based on what I've seen, it's okay if you're cute, if you're handsome, right? But if you're not, you're like, ew, what the fuck, get out of here.
Right, and then women are always like, why can't I ever find a guy?
Yeah.
And it's
or it's difficult as a guy because you face that kind of resistance where you have to worry about, well, am I going to be perceived as a creep or not, right? But then also you see online all the time, like, why can't I just go to the bar and not be hit on? You know what I mean? Which I get. Look, yeah, you should 100% be able to go out and not have to field dudes all the time, right? But like socially, they're just like, how do you fix that, right?
I don't think there is a way to fix it.
Yeah.
But there's also the fear of rejection, though, too.
Well, but then think about, there are apps now. I don't know what it's called, but there's an app where women choose the guys that they want to talk to.
Well, there's also Bumble.
Is that what I'm talking about?
Maybe. Well, Bumble, women have to make like text first.
Yeah, exactly. The guys put up their things, and the women swipe for the guys. Right?
Well,
they decide which ones they think are appropriate.
Yeah, if you match.
Yeah.
If you match, like Tinder, like guys always are the first one to make a move on Tinder, but on Bumble, the girls have to message first and start a conversation.
Right, and the purpose of that is to prevent women from running into creeps all the time, or people that they're not attracted to, and like have to deal with an overabundance of men getting in their face.
Well,
whereas on Tinder, like any guy can be like, yes.
Well, only if you match though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true.
What do you say? Every time and place to sit each other down and get what's off your chest. Exactly.
It's about dudes being dudes. They're dudes.
Just dudes being dudes, guys being guys, man. No, I mean, did you want to bring anything else up?
I mean, I don't have a whole lot, no.
No? Well, I mean, hey, any questions from the viewers in chat? Zach and I are talking about anthropology next week. I'm super excited about it, actually.
Yeah, we're going to have to specify that topic down a little bit.
You think so?
Yeah, that's a huge topic. Anthropology, I mean, that covers, like, everything about humans, basically.
Fuck it. Well, we'll come up with something. Talking about anthropology, and then I think, what's after anthropology? Is that the one with Cam? I think so. The schedule on Twitter and Facebook. Go fucking look at it. But yeah, Zach, it was always a pleasure speaking with you on men. You want to blow out that candle?
Yeah, let's blow it out. We'll see you guys later.
You could fucking blow it out, man.
Peace.
Go follow Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Thank you for watching, everybody.
Take it easy.